Excellent. So I'm just going to give you an overview of what we have been doing at REA. It has been a program in place for a little while. But if just from an REA perspective, obviously, when we talk about it, most people say, yes, of course, it's the guys on the road that are out there fixing the cars. We're actually, the pillars of REA are motorhome and travel. So not only do we have our patrols out on the road, we have call centres on site. This is head office at Mile End, and we have retail shops. We have insurance assessors because we have an insurance company. So we're quite a diverse organisation. And so anything that we put in place obviously isn't a one size fits all. And so we really need to make sure that we're looking at what works for the people that are actually here on site. Probably pre-COVID might be 600 people here, but now we're down to a lot less. But overall, we've got about 1,200 in our workforce. We started looking at our wellbeing and resilience program, and interestingly, not from a perspective of like a burning platform. So we weren't looking because we had a high number of psychological injury claims or anything like that. In fact, we've actually put our wellbeing and resilience program to underpin, to enable the workforce to deliver the strategy of the business. So as you can see from here, the reason that we've put a wellbeing and resilience program in place is to actually develop a resilient workforce so that we can actually look at innovation, and even just in general life. I think, you know, we've all got these challenges that we come across. And so being able to deal with those challenges, the changes that happen, I mean, change happens constantly. And so the program was really developed to look at really building the resilience of the workforce and giving them tools and enabling them to really, I guess, just live life in the environment that we are now. We started actually pre the Wellbeing and Resilience program, addressing a shortened program purely for our HR area at the time. So I guess this was almost our entry into all of this. So we looked at bringing a program in that was actually promoting good mental well-being within the HR team, but also building their capability and awareness. Because often, you know, I sort of think about this when you're on an aeroplane and they tell you to put your oxygen on yourself first. So sometimes these are the teams that actually need it the most. So it was really starting to understanding our own mental well-being. We brought some information and some speakers in to talk about EAP and what is it, and because obviously a lot of times we're the promoters of that program, and what does it entail, and a lot of information that we probably didn't have from just having brochures around the workplace. We undertook lunch and learn sessions, so a variety of different topics, not always over lunchtime, because obviously, you know, that seems to feel a little bit like counterintuitive almost to your well-being, where you're coming in at lunchtime and doing some training. But we did have some sessions where we did videos and different activities. We incorporated something called a promise wall, so something quite visual, where people would then say, these are the things that I'm committing to doing, and we use that for a variety of different reasons. So some of those were physical activities, some were, you know, a lot of various different things, quit smoking, a whole heap of things, but having that just as a conversation point. Introducing gratitude, so we created some books for 3 good things and having those conversations. And then various things that we called happiness challenges, so even down to things as simple as what's your favorite movie, and putting that up on the wall and then sharing it, and a whole host of different things. So it was quite low key, given because it was quite centralised to P&E, but it was kind of our introduction. We then started to branch out into mental health first aid across the whole business, and this was really in response to our senior managers saying that there's a you know, real cry out, I think, about how do we manage and deal with mental health crisis in the workplace. Oftentimes it came to light when people were being performance managed, and it was kind of like, where do we go and what do we do? We made the decision to actually train 2 of our team members in the people and environment team to be mental health accredited trainers. So then we could actually deliver the training in-house. It was open to everyone. So this was never limited or intended to be limited to managers or contact officers or anything like that. It really was open to absolutely everybody. And there's been a really good uptake in it. In fact, one of the learnings we potentially had from this was that having the manager trained in mental health first aid probably wasn't the best person to have when you're performance managing someone, to also be the go-to or the support person. So it was open to everyone. We undertook a survey of our mental health first aiders to understand, after we'd had it in place for a little while, of the benefit that they'd got from being trained as mental health first aiders, because obviously this is training that you don't just use at home. You use it out in the community, in your own life, within your families. And the benefit for the individuals was probably much higher than we'd anticipated. In fact, when we applied for the CISA self-insurance award that we were actually awarded for our program, a lot of things came out from asking questions and from this survey that we hadn't planned on. And so it was really an eye-opener to realise the benefit that people got from having that training. It really did break down that barrier. I mean, the discussion around mental health is like any other illness, anything else in the workplace. It really has sort of made that big shift. We also supported it with the manager resources. So we had an e-learning module that we developed, and we used in-house people for that. So we wanted it to be our P&E people, and we wanted it to be people that they knew. We had that as a KPI, that managers were to complete that training. So it was an e-learning module. We built some resources on our intranet so people could access that. We've currently got over 130. So as I said, of 1,200 people, we've got over 130 that have actually undertaken the training. Obviously, face-to-face training has ceased at the moment, and we've actually gone external as well, given the availability of our resources. But we will continue to maintain 10%, even though we don't need to for the accreditation with Mental Health First Aid Australia. Being a large organisation, we actually only need to have 5% trained, but we want to maintain that 10. And as I said, we were lucky enough. You know, we were nominating ourselves for the Employer of the Year award with CISA, and we were actually. The award was in 2017, and when I look back, it seems like yesterday, but obviously it was a little while ago. We started Wellbeing and Resilience, and we partnered with SAMRI at this when they were the Wellbeing and Resilience Centre, which obviously now they're the Be Well Co. We started as a pilot project in 2018. We needed to demonstrate the benefit of running this program across the organisation, and so we started a pilot with 50 people. And we also had 2 general managers. So the structure of our organisation is where we have business units, there's general managers, and 2 general managers participated in that, which was 2 days of training, and we delivered the resilience skills from SAMRI. The feedback that we presented to the executive, we asked them then to roll this program out across the whole of the organisation. And there was a little bit of negotiation around timing, and they said you can do it for every employee, but you can only have a day and a half. And anyone doing training knows by the time you've cut some fat from that, it was very well something we could do. So to date, we started this in 2019. We've actually trained 750 people, but as you can well imagine, with a large organisation, with the turnover and things like that, we've actually only gotten through half of our organisation. But one of the things that we've done is trained up our internal trainers. You need to be accredited with SAMRI for that. And we've done a lot of skill development, so from consistency. We did a whole of organisation baseline before we started. And it was really about delivering those resilience skills. So a toolbox of skills that we delivered for people. And we undertake surveys, and the training value, we've asked people, what value is this? We've got an 88% across the whole organisation. Along came a pandemic, I'm sure you're well aware of this, and that put a stop to our face-to-face training. So we developed another program that we called Adapt. Adapt was to keep the conversation going. We didn't want to stop because we couldn't deliver the training. We ran webinars, we had competitions, we wrote weekly articles. We did Are You OK Day videos every day. So every day of a week that we sent them out, not every day constantly, but for a week rather than one day. We created a Zen zone there, which was really just a room where we put some nice music on and people could chill out with their coffee in the morning. We developed an Instagram page. We did meditation sessions. We created a Spotify playlist from people's recommendations. So we did as much as we could because the intent was really to keep that conversation going, particularly during a very, very difficult time through COVID in the early days. It was a lot of change and a lot of challenge. We've got an iConnect page, and this is just an example that we had different focus points. So we kept our wellbeing calendar going. We had different focus points every month. As you can see, we had webinars, the competitions, everything was readily available. And like this, if people couldn't attend, you could watch the recorded message afterwards. So it was available for everyone, whether they were in the office or not. One of the things I think we heard a lot was, oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. And it seemed that people were throwing the year away. And so we actually ran a competition and we asked the thing, actually, what's the best thing that happened in 2020? And we had prizes for this. And to see the feedback was phenomenal about what people, the takeaways were. You know, people were getting married and having babies and doing a whole host of things and, you know, buying houses. And I think that we need to keep the positivity focus going as well, because otherwise we all got caught up in the negativity of, you know, just getting the humdrum, I guess, of isolation and changes. We do have a wellbeing calendar that we refresh every year. We try to align it with our wellbeing focus around psychological wellbeing. As you can see, there is some activity February, March. I said in our breakout room, that's a physical one, but unfortunately we've had to defer that into October. But we have different points there. We have an on-site wellbeing room, which really, again, is focused around psychological wellbeing. So really just, I think the sort of the key summary and the takeaways for us on this program was getting executive engagement on any program and promoting it is critical. So as I've said, when we did the training, we started with GMs in the pilot. We actually had training courses, the day-and-a-half training course. Our MD has attended, every one of our general managers attended. It was one of the key things that we said, you guys need to be driving this. We tried getting what we call champions from across the business. One of the things that we learned was just because people were really enthusiastic, it didn't equal that they were available to support the program, and it didn't mean that they had skills. So that was a real learning for us, because I guess we put a lot of focus and effort on our champions and realised that that wasn't the right approach for us. We've seen this before, one size doesn't fit all. Not everything that you deliver is for everybody. So being open to, sometimes people don't participate, and that's okay as well. Mental health first aid, you get a lot of bang for your buck in that. So the benefit that you get from people attending that, from their own usage of that and from the flow onto the business is fantastic. Pandemics create setbacks. Be prepared that sometimes you're doing stuff and it doesn't go according to plan because of things like pandemics. And so you have to be agile and move and do something different. When you start on this journey, what we've learned is you will never run out of things to do. It's ongoing. There's always other things that you can incorporate. And I really enjoyed today looking at the mentally healthy workplace, and we'll certainly be tapping into that for some other things. Linking with HR, there's a lot of crossover, family and domestic violence, a whole heap of things that when you really think about it, you can really work together and really bring some great work together. And for us and for every organisation, just make sure that you keep that conversation going, whatever you do. Even if you can't deliver training, send stuff out, do activities, just make sure that that conversation is continual. That's really, really critical. And I know I sort of rushed through it a little bit because I know we're a little bit short on time, but hopefully I've covered it all. I've put my details out there. I'm happy to share. I think for anything, this is a great opportunity to share what people are doing.